So we're moving on to employers now. And this is where the mainstream market reference is a problem for me. We have Mr. Thorsten, who represents the European Caisse d'Épargne. So looking at the regulatory situation, we have the non-mainstream banks as well, the cooperative banks, credit unions, building societies, the post office banks, the savings banks, they play an important role as well. And perhaps things are not quite perfect there. And often customers, citizens have quite a lot of confidence in these networks, which are a little bit different from the mainstream banks. But is it right for certain networks of this kind to play this role when there are costs involved? And of course, ultimately, banking networks are in competition with each other. So how can all of these different factors be reconciled in your view? So you have the floor, sir. Yes, thank you, Georges. Well, we're changing the perspective here. And we're moving towards the credit institutions, and I'll speak English as well and try to respond to the questions that you were asking.
I will firstly tell you some words and say you what the ESBG is, what it stands for, and what it is doing or attempting to do for financial inclusion. So the EU Savings Banks Group indeed represents the savings banks at European level, and as such approximately 950 individual savings and retail banks. These institutions operate more than 67,000 branches and employ 910,000 people. At the end of 2010, total assets of ESBG members amounted to almost 7.5 billion euros. Linked with the European Federation is the World Savings Banks Institute, bringing together in total 6,000 socially committed retail and savings banking institutions. They offer their services mainly to private clients, small and medium-sized enterprises, and local authorities. They work through extensive distribution networks and can thus offer proximity services and provide regional outreach. This World Savings Banks network extends to 89 countries throughout the world, developing countries as well as major markets. To characterize the mission of the savings banks, we have the 3 R's. That means retail, regional, and responsible. Retail means that in the focus of the business is the private customer, and investment is made in the real economy. Regional means that there is a local anchorage of the business and is a kind of proximity banking which is done. And responsible, thirdly, there is a double bottom line, so the adjustment is not only on Winst, but there is also an adjustment on social targets. Despite this, however, the savings banks remain banks. That means credit institutions that must have some revenues, and they are not charitable institutions. Nevertheless, financial inclusion is high on the agenda of savings banks, in particular to take shape of the 3 R's. And I think it's a good moment that we have this conference today, since only 2 weeks ago was the World Congress of Savings Banks in Morocco. And given the topicality of financial inclusion, the Marrakesh Declaration has been adopted with the motto, "An account for everyone." And this means that the savings banks maintain their commitment to support financial inclusion despite the difficult economic and market context for the financial sector. Savings banks across the world have a genuine social commitment to the communities and regions where they are operating. Providing financial access is an integral part of their identity and of their business model. And we have a lot of thoughts how one could further enhance towards an account for everyone. So we believe that we need a shared vision to successfully advance financial access. We need the offer of quality products and services to integrate a maximum number of households in the formal banking system, and this in a long-term perspective. We need the existence of a basic entry-level product for the still unbanked and low-income groups. Services must be, there we are pinpointing 6 attributes. The services must be fair, they must be affordable, convenient, they must be cost-effective, accessible, and appropriate. And we need also priorities. So a priority is the capability to transact, it is to receive and make payments, so a real basic services as a kind of entry for initiating a banking relationship. And next to that, a diversity of efficient financial services providers operating in a level playing field. You were already speaking about the concurrence between the different credit institutions. Indeed, I'm only representing the savings banks. Of course, there are some other different models, which is, of course, something we need to bear in mind. Innovation is important in a number of key fields, and there we can become quite creative to provide competitive and adapted services to clients and to extend the outreach to the unbanked and underserved, and to ensure that the product offer includes a simple, user-friendly product focused on the specific needs of the most vulnerable customers. So we need to be clear where we put the focus. And one might think also about developing alternative customers' points of contacts, especially for unserved and remote groups. If you think of countries where you have the kind of primate city syndrome, where one city in the country is very well served by branches, whilst then you have quite big areas in the same country where there's no local service at all. We need to think further in the future how we can reach the people who live there. And we deem it very important to participate in financial education initiatives. There I fully agree with you. We believe this will play a key role to provide basic knowledge about money and to empower customers. This, of course, clearly distinguished from product marketing or promotion. We believe this is really important as, obviously there are not only few people who need to be further trained, that they don't get over-indebted. What does it mean to run a bank account and so on. So the people not everybody can know this by himself, so we need to help them, and we should be prepared to provide this kind of training. And therefore, the World and European savings banks call upon the stakeholders, policymakers and regulators to support this global financial inclusion challenge via a comprehensive strategy to achieve inclusive financial sectors at national, regional level as part of the long-term vision for poverty alleviation and social cohesion. This is another important aspect I wanted to come to. Financial access varies widely from country to country, with huge differences between developing, emerging and developed markets. Thus, the best approach has to be defined at national level. In any case, the national solution has to take into account the contractual freedom of banking service providers. The savings bank's commitment to financial inclusion should in no way be read as a call for the introduction of a right to an account by an European regulatory act or whatsoever. So I would like to round up with the conclusion that financial exclusion should not be seen as an isolated problem. It is regularly the consequence of social exclusion. Therefore, a common effort is necessary of various stakeholders, and there I fully agree also with Anne, and I think with some further of my colleagues. So it should be an effort not only of legislators and credit institutions, but also schools, social workers, charity services, churches, etc., to name only some of them. The savings banks see themselves as an important part of this network and devote significant time and resources for the interaction with other interested parties, as for instance ESBG as a member of Efin. The European and World Savings Banks are willing and fully prepared to work together with regulators, associations and other stakeholders to further boost financial inclusion. Thank you.